Hello there, what is going on, everybody? We've got a big news dump for the 501st from yesterday's stream from AMG. Also organized play kits and a little bit of X-Wing and even Armada in today's. So we're getting a lot of news in today's video. It's chock full of goodies, so let's just get down into it. But first, I've got two things I want to do. First, remind you guys, we are still doing another giveaway right now. Now it's for a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. This one will run for about 2 weeks. All you need to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that if you want a chance to win. Also, want to thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Be sure to check out luxuryplaystyle.com. Amazing, amazing full metal tokens. The most gorgeous tokens you're going to find. Use code Crabbok VIP. You're going to save 15%. Orders of $35 or more are going to get a free Crabbok lightsaber nunchuck token thrown in, so that is also pretty cool. All right, so with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this this news dump, this dumpy news, newsy dumpy, newsy. That's a silly thing to say. Let's just move on. They were painting an ARC Trooper and talking a little bit about the 501st today. We had Michael Plummer and Will Schick on, yesterday. And, although I'm recording this the night before. So it was today for me, yesterday for you. It's how time travel works. It's wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. 501st are going to have some interesting, structural changes to if you're going to be running a 501st Legion. You can only have one of 3 commanders, but you only have 1 commander, 0 operatives. The commanders you can use are a Rex, a generic clone, or Anakin Skywalker. No operatives available. You can have 1 to 4 core. You can have 1 to 4 special forces, ARC Troopers. And you can have 1 support, only 1 support, and 1 LAT LE if you're doing, or 0 to 1. You don't have to have a heavy, but if you do, the LAT LE is the only one that is available. And so pretty interesting structure for the 501st. It's going to be a lot more ARC Trooper based, a lot more clone trooper centric. Of course, they're going to have their 3 command cards, but there's some other interesting things about this. They said that some of the inspiration was from the Umbara arc. They wanted, they definitely wanted the ARC Troopers to be a more important, but they didn't want everybody maxing on strike teams. So in the 501st, you can only take a strike team if you have a regular full-loaded ARC Trooper. So you can, at most, if you wanted to max strike teams, you can only have 2 strike teams and 2 full units. Of course, you can have 4 full units if you want, but I think that's interesting. So you don't just get like quad sniper strike teams, which would be could be a little bit negative. But you have to have at least 1 special forces. So that's interesting. Now, you're not going to be able to take Wookiees, so it's pretty much just going to be ARC Troopers. The support, they didn't go into specifically which supports that you can take, but I'm certainly assuming that you will not be able to get the Radon Nasp because they did specify no Wookiees. And of course, you can have 1 to 4 core, so less core than you normally would, but you don't have to run that many. So you can have just maybe one phase 1 clone if you want, and then just max out on everything else. So that is interesting to me, because again, it really is going to depend on what the command cards really bring to the table, because ARC Troopers are expensive right now, and I've seen so many nerfs. Clones have seen so many nerfs. They're still not bad, but they're awfully expensive. Their point cost is awfully expensive for what they are able to do. They're still, the best core in the game, but you're paying for it, and you're paying a lot for it. And they've become a little bit weaker over time. So I'm really curious how good the command cards are going to be. Now, they didn't give us any full preview of the command cards, but they did give us a partial preview of the command cards. And the command cards the command card that we got previewed was a 1-pip that actually, when building hands, counts as a 2-pip. So basically what this means is you'll be able to have 3 1-pips in your hand. So they have a 1-pip, they have a second 1-pip that, well, assuming they have a 1-pip, they might have a 0-pip that counts as a 1-pip or something like that. But what they told us basically is that they have a 2-pip that actually only has one pip on it. Now, we've seen this before with Darth Maul's command cards. He's got a 3-pip that counts as a 1-pip when you're building your hand. I'm sorry, vice versa. He's got a 1-pip that counts as is 3-pip when you're building hands. So again, it's meant to kind of convey the aggressive style that Anakin kind of brought to the 501st, and of course that also somewhat reflects a little bit of dark side tendencies like we see with Darth Maul. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea, and so that's really all we kind of got from them. I think that the 501st seems like the least interesting of all of them right now, just because a lot of my favorite Republic units currently are not allowed to be taken in the 501st. I can't take Yoda, I can't take Obi-Wan Kenobi, I can't take Padme, and so 0 operatives at all. Now, I did ask some questions in the live stream, and I was trying to be very clever, and I said, so does that mean we can't take Ahsoka? And because assuming that Ahsoka would be the first Jedi operative for the Republic, that would kind of make a lot of sense, since they've kind of already confirmed that she's coming. But they didn't answer that directly, but they said, well, if Ahsoka ends up being an operative, you might not be able to take her. But that also doesn't really mean much, because like all things, these rules for the battle forces are totally subject to change and can evolve and grow over time, especially if it's thematic or appropriate. So just because there's no operatives allowed right now doesn't mean they can't eventually open up operatives, but restrict it to which ones you can take, just like they did with commanders here, where you can only take Rex, Anakin, or a generic clone trooper. If Ahsoka shows up, they can always just amend this to say, oh yeah, Ahsoka can also go into this. And this is very reflective of how they do the affiliations in Marvel Crisis Protocol, so that makes sense to me. When somebody shows up that can go in there, then why shouldn't they be able to go in there? I think that makes sense. I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great way to do it. It's very elegant. And only thing that it requires is that you just kind of stay up to speed on the web rules. Or you can just homebrew it and just say, I think this person belongs in here. They should be able to go in there. And then you do that on your kitchen table. And you have a good time. And everybody's like, yay. And there you go. But since these are tournament legal, the tournament legal stuff is going to definitely have to rely on the online rules reference forum. And also the online documents section of Atomic Mass Games website, which they have actually been updating a little bit more. So there's a lot of... like X-Wing just got a whole bunch of stuff. It's all there on Atomic Mass Games website right now. They're getting closer and closer. I think the new website's supposed to be ready within a month or so. They said end of March, early April. So maybe we'll see the new website with all this stuff when maybe it'll eventually go live here soon. We'll have to see. They've been spoiling this stuff little by little, so I can't wait to see. Especially because this means we're going to be getting new rules to play with the same stuff we've already got. So all of you who've got clones that are collecting dust on your shelf, you now have a whole new reason to dust them off, to try out new rules for this and all the other battle forces that are coming. So that's pretty cool. Now, we also have some other things to talk about, because there's a whole lot to digest with that, and we'll talk more about it, and maybe we'll do some build ideas and all kinds of stuff. There's lots more to talk about with this over the coming weeks and months. But we also have some organized play kits. Starting with Legion, the Unnatural Resources organized play kit is pretty cool, as a matter of fact. I normally don't like these scenarios and OP kits and stuff. It's my own personal bias. I usually want to play something that's more like a standard tournament game when I play, because again, I don't get to play every day. I don't get to play as often as I would like. And so when I do play, I kind of want to play the game the way it's meant to be played and kind of practice for that tournament scenario usually. And so I usually don't like to play, I never played any of the scenarios that came in the downed ATST or the bunker and any of that stuff. I'm I don't usually want to do this. But this one looks like it's a playable scenario for me. I could see myself playing this one for a couple of reasons. For one, the deployment is the same as advanced position, so it's a very commonly used deployment, so it'll feel a lot like a normal standard game. It has its own, it's just kind of cool. Now, Luke Eddy also confirmed, and this is a larger 4x6 card, and we got to see the card today, that has all the rest of the instructions on the back side. So it's going to be a little different than when in the past when they've given you a deployment, condition, and objective card. This is just going to be one big card that has everything on it, one side and then on the other side. Very cool, but since AMG has been spoiling a lot of stuff on their social media lately, including all the prizes and stuff like that we're going to talk about, including Armada stuff. Yes, we're going to talk about all that. You can see all this stuff on Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth, but we hadn't gotten to see the back of the card until today, so we'll take a look at that. Also, they showed us the little punch board you're going to be getting. It's going to have the objective, or the objectives are basically these vents. You're trying to harvest this gas from this planet, and then of course there's a roaming Dianoga, and it roams because players are going to be able to place it. Whoever is lower on victory points gets to move it, or whoever doesn't have priority if it's a tie. So kind of gives it, you know, the underdog kind of gets the chance to kind of move it, and it gets to do damage. It rolls dice and suppresses people. We're going to talk about all that here in a second. But a lot of people in stream were asking how big is this token, because if we know how its measurements, then we can kind of begin to proxy it, and it'll probably show up on it's probably already up on TTS, right? So, but it was pretty cool. They said it was about 50 millimeters, but they weren't 100% sure the exact measurements, but they did pull out a Tauntaun base and kind of hold it up, so it's a little bit larger than a Tauntaun base. So, you know, in the absence of something that meets that exact measurement, you could probably use a Tauntaun base as a rough idea if you wanted to kind of play test it right now, but it's going to be a little bit bigger than a Tauntaun base. So I thought that that's pretty cool. So we got a good kind of reference image there, and we got the back of the card here. So this is pretty nice. For basically you have disallowed keywords. So if you're going to play this one, you can't run bounty, infiltrate, and secret mission, or at least the keywords can't be used. Like, you could still run a unit, but you won't be able to use, like, you can still run Padme, she just won't be able to take secret missions. You won't be able to do that. You can still run R2-D2, but, I mean, do you really want to? Still run Boba Fett, but he won't be able to use his bounty. You're going to use a standard army building rules. I don't know if that means you can't run a battle force in this one. I'm not, you know, I think those are going to be standard army building rules, so I'm not sure about that. That would actually have been a good question to ask them. But either way, it's a fun scenario. So if you want to run a battle force, then run a battle force, right? Because this isn't one that was going to be a tournament scenario. So, but yeah, you're gonna do normal stuff. You're gonna place the 7 gas vents as shown in the deployment diagram. Again, this one right here. Right, you got 1 in the center and then 3 on each side, so everybody kind of gets their middle, and then it's still a fight for the center, like a lot of the objectives are. Like, I've got my safe stuff, you got your safe stuff, and then we're going for the center. But the interesting here is that you don't just have your 1 safe side, you've got 3 safe spots, plus the one that's contested. So it's a different kind of numerical setup than we usually see in a lot of our objectives. If you have a unit leader at range 1 of the gas vents, you're going to improve your cover by 1. The idea is the gas is coming up, you're trying to harvest it and stuff. You might be out in the open when you do that, but you're also going to be sort of in this situation where the steam gives you obscurity, like it makes it harder to see you because there's gas in the air near you. And so that is a nice thing. Now, this sort of setup does mean that you're going to have to think long and hard about where the terrain that you place. You'll have to probably design terrain specifically for this scenario. It'd be kind of cool to build a sewer board also. I think that could be a fun thing to do. I actually have some sewer terrain from a Kickstarter, so I don't have enough for a whole board, but it could be kind of a cool thing to throw in there. So you know, I guess my task is going to be like, and maybe for all of you guys, what kind of sewer board that would suit unnatural references can we come up with? I think that's a cool idea. So, and it's got the roaming Dianoga, and he's got roam. And again, this is these images are also all in the C5 Discord. So if you haven't already joined our Discord, it's very family friendly, and it's got sections for Legion, Armada, X-Wing, all of that stuff. So check it out. And like this particular image, like he was holding them, but I cleaned it up a little bit and straightened it out a little bit. But they're all in there. You can get a look at the card if you want to download it yourself and read it out, or do a print and play for right now. These are all going to be first previewed at Adepticon. So there's a Legion OP kit, and there's also an X-Wing scenario. We're going to talk about that. Nothing for Armada just yet. So I was hoping they would announce an Armada one, but they didn't. They didn't like deny anything about Armada, but they did leave a remark that said, if we haven't answered a question, we're just not ready to talk about anything yet. So there were a lot of questions, but that gives me hope for Armada. So that maybe they just have stuff that they aren't ready to reveal just yet, and they just didn't want to answer it on an unrelated stream, perhaps. And I can understand that. So yeah, but so the rules for the roaming water, if you're range, you can move it. He's got lash out. You're gonna roll dice. You're gonna take a suppression for each block and a wound for each surge you roll for everybody that's within. You rolled 3 red defense dice, so he's gonna suppress people a little bit more than he's going to like pull people, right? So that's pretty cool. We've also got an X-Wing OP kit, the droids you're looking for. This is the one that they said was going to be a little bit like Rocket League. You're going to have the two droids, and you're going to be flying around and shooting these, like, trying to pick them up and like trying to kick them through these little goals, which are like tractor fields. And so like that could be a fun little thing. You're also getting an alternate art card of Sense, which is not legal in standard, but apparently you'll be able to still play it in extended. So there you go. And of course, we're also getting alternate arts of Force Push for the Legion one, because that's it's got freaking Asajj Ventress on there, and so that's also really cool. Anakin pushing Asajj Ventress looks very like the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, so a great looking alt art. So I'm kind of hoping to get some of those. I like Force Push. It's one of those cards I like to use. So if you're interested in getting any of these OP kits, your first chance is at Adepticon, but they are also going to be available at your friendly local game store. So let your game stores know to order this stuff, and then there's enough stuff in here in these kits to give everybody lots of the stuff so they can then take it home and then play it to their heart's content. Very cool. Hopefully, I'll be trying to get that going here in Orlando too, so that'll be a fun one. Last thing is they did show off some of the OP prizes that they'll be giving out at Adepticon in the Worlds Finals. Adepticon's at Worlds Qualifier, so top 4. They said top 4 from these games are going to get their Worlds invite, and that includes accommodations and travel. So basically, I feel like hotel and airfare basically like are paid for to go to Worlds. So that's cool stuff. That's that's a big prize. So this is where you want to bring your A game. Cool little Legion box with the foam for the minis. They showed off a bunch of the promos. They were showing them for all the different games, and finally Armada. They finally is like, all right, and all you guys are asking about Armada, because there's a lot of people asking about Armada in the chat. I was one of them, because I always kind of just reminding them, hey, has there been any update? I try not to ask questions I know they can't answer, but I also try to ask questions in a way that they potentially could answer them. So they got to Armada, and they're like, yes, we also have a big box of Armada stuff. And so they were showing off some of the Armada cards and some of the Armada promos and stuff. And they said there's more. This is just some of it. So so it was cool that they actually talked about Armada also, at least a little bit. Of course, nothing like spoilery or leaky or nothing, wild and crazy. But it is nice to continue to see that Armada is still supported. Now, one thing a lot of people noticed is that some of these prizes and stuff say 2021, or in the case of these trophies, 2020. Why are these old prizes? What's going on with that? The reason is quite simple. COVID happened and stopped a lot of events. FFG had still ordered a lot of these things, and it was up and down. It was up and down. They didn't know. They still had to order stuff for 2021. Also, a lot of those events did not happen as well. So much of what you're seeing here is all unused FFG prize support, and it's very cool that Atomic Mass Games Organized Play is making all this stuff now go to work. They're putting it out there, and these won't be the only places that you'll see some of these promos. You'll see some of these promos at other tournaments as well, so be on the lookout for those. It's going to be a really cool time to get caught up on promos, and have some fun playing. So that's kind of the news dump. Lots of stuff, a lot of Legion stuff, a little bit of X-Wing, a little bit of Armada, and there's fun things coming. So I think the Dianoga Scenario looks like it's going to be my favorite out of these two, and maybe once we get a hold of it here in Orlando, maybe you'll see it on stream. Could be a fun scenario to play. I want to hear from you guys. How would you set up terrain for that? Right. All right, guys. I'm gonna thank you guys so much for hanging out. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing. You guys help make this channel possible. So thank you for your continued support. May the force be with you, and always wear your best scar when going into a firefight.